All right, and welcome back to the KJ MMA show. I am Ryan Jarrell, joined by Garrett Kerman, as always. And right now we have Kevin Croom on the show, who's going to be fighting next on April the 16th at UFC Fight Night 206. Kevin, how you doing?
Let's go. I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. And this is a big fight for you because you're making the drop down to bantamweight. What has that whole transition been like for yourself?
Yes, sir. I fought a good amount at bantamweight before, but it's been about 5 years, I believe. So, man, a lot of discipline on the diet. I'm working with Tyler Minton, and man, I mean, we're really killing it. I really want a cheeseburger. I think this is probably the longest I've ever been without ice cream. I think, like possibly. So yeah, man, I'm ready to get this dub and get fat again for a couple weeks.
All right. Is it okay to ask what the weight's at right now? I mean, we're still a little ways out. Are
Yeah,
you pretty?
yeah. I was 151 on Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a good range for you to
Yeah,
be.
no, man, that's great. I'm right on track. I'm doing really good. So
So when you look at bantamweight versus featherweight, anytime you're cutting that weight, obviously you're going to have more than likely a size and a reach advantage if you're fighting at a weight class that you're closer to just your walk around weight. How do you like yourself in the UFC at bantamweight versus at 145?
man, I mean, I am a massive 135er. This kid I'm fighting is 5'5", 5'6", I believe, with 66-inch reach. I am like 5'10" and a half, 5'11", with 73.5-inch reach, I believe. So what's that, like 7.5 inches of reach on this kid? And I mean, I think that's pretty normal for that weight class. I just fought Kelleher, and I'm not sure exactly how what his dimensions are, but they got to be close to that. I feel like that's a pretty good range of the bantamweight division. So that gives me a lot more advantages. With the reach advantage, the strike, I can lift my knee up a couple of inches and need these guys in the face. So I plan on staying long.
You hear a lot of people say that bantamweight is the deepest division in the UFC. Do you think that's accurate? I mean, look, every division in the UFC is very
For
deep
sure. Yeah.
nowadays, but
Yeah.
is bantamweight the deepest?
But I mean, I'd say it's a big toss up between bantamweight and featherweight. I think the two kind of go back to back. Or back and forth of which one's more exciting, more stacked. But I mean, yeah, it's definitely a packed division for sure.
All right, I got to get a title pick from you. Jan Sterling 2 is around the corner. So how do you think that one's going to shake out?
Man, I don't like. I mean. I feel like Aljo came out really good in their first fight. The first round, his head movement and his movement in general was really good. However, I think that kind of hurt his cardio, and because of that, he slowed down a little bit. And then Jan started picking him apart. Obviously, we didn't get to see the rest of it, but unless Aljo can be a little bit more efficient and keep that good high pace, I don't really see him being able to stop Jan. But it's a fight, and we love this. That's what we love about it. You never know.
So obviously everything starts for you at 135 with this fight against Alateng. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Haile Alateng. If I butchered it, I apologize. But
Better you than me.
so when you look at your trajectory here at 135, you get a win here against Alateng. How far do you think you're going to be climbing this ladder over the next year or two? Is this your division to really crack top 15, top 10, and so on?
Yeah. Hey, so let me just say this. One of the last times I was on your show, I spoke the future into existence. I said that I was going to win my FAC title fight impressively, and I was going to get signed by the UFC, and I was going to make my debut in a couple of weeks. I said that, and that happened, and I performed impressively. And I believe I'm about to speak the future on the show again. I'm going to show up. I'm going to I'm going to preform impressively against this man. I'm going to look very good, and I'm going to make a really good run at a 35 title.
Man, I love hearing that. And Kevin, it has been a while since we have spoken last. I believe the last time that I did speak with you was even before the Alex Caceres fight. So a lot to catch up on. What have you learned from the fight against Caceres and against Brian Kelleher?
Yeah, man, that Caceres fight was rough. Mostly because, man, I just didn't perform anywhere close to my potential or how I saw that fight going at all. Obviously, Caceres is an amazing competitor, and he's really funky, and he can be hard to look good against. So that fight was pretty rough for me, and it took me a couple weeks to kind of get my head right, and I really just buckled down and worked harder than I've ever worked before. I feel like my life is kind of every 6 months or so, I just like put my nose to the grindstone and make the decision to work so hard I changed my life. And that was over a year ago, and man, I've done that. Again and again, I've just put a lot of work in. I believe I showed a lot of those improvements in the Kelleher fight. Obviously, I took the fight on 3 days' notice, and it didn't go my way. But I feel like I showed a lot of those improvements, and I'm excited to show my improvements with the full camp. And I'm very dangerous at 135. I'm very excited.
Well, let's talk about that camp. Glory MMA, easily one of the absolute best camps, best gyms on planet Earth. And you got a new guy that's running around there. I think his name is Brandon Moreno.
Yeah, yeah,
What is
yeah.
it having him around the gym?
I've heard about it. It's funny. Last night I teach Wednesday night MMA class at Glory, and like I got the champ listening to me teach. The champ's like watching me teach and doing the moves that I'm instructing. It's pretty crazy. It's really cool to have him there. Obviously he's coming with a couple guys. He actually brought Marcelo Rojo in, who I was actually slated to fight, and then I hurt my hand and we pulled out. Now we're teammates, and having him in the gym has been really awesome. I've learned like 3 or 4 really cool things from having them in just for a couple weeks. It's great.
And obviously he's got such a big kind of like happy-go-lucky type of personality. Is he just adding like even more fun into the gym day in and day out?
Yeah. I mean, his energy fits perfectly with the kind of vibe that we got going on. So yeah, man, it's great to have him around.
All right. And, you got one guy, a very well-known fighter, former champion, Brandon Moreno, comes into the gym. You did lose someone that I know you were very close with, and that has to be a big loss, Grant Dawson going to ATT. Can you talk about that a little bit and, how disappointing that it must be for yourself?
I mean, man, this is life, and change happens. The kid's young, and he's lived, in a couple of places that haven't had good weather his whole life. Like I'm all about, getting out there and exploring what life has to offer. So, I mean, all the best to him. Still my best bud. I love him. I miss him. But, man, I mean, he's in Florida living the time of his life as a young man. You can't hate on that,
No, for sure. Is there a chance that, he's going to ever come back, or you might go down there and work with him? Or is it just he's down there now at ATT, you're at Glory, and that's just what it is?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any desire to train anywhere else. You know what I mean? Like if I'm on vacation and I'm around, I have no problem training somewhere else. But I just don't have any desire to go anywhere else. Me and Krause vibe so well. I love Glory. Like Glory's my spot.
Mhm. Give me a couple of names of up and comers that, because it's been a while since we've spoken, and I know you guys have new fighters that are in there all the time, and some fighters that are getting some wins underneath their belt, getting closer to the UFC. Give me a fighter or two that maybe the normal public out there doesn't know about, but they will soon.
Yeah, my buddy Gage Young. He's cornering me with this fight. In this fight, actually, he's cornered Jeff Molina as well. Kid's 21. Man, I'm jealous of this kid. He's so talented. He's so good. He's like such a nice guy. I would be like such an asshole if I was good as him. You know, I wasn't as good as him when I was 21, and I was still an asshole. He's really good, man. He just had a really impressive win in front of Dana White and the Nelk Boys. Solid. He's going to be doing really big things. Let's see, man. We got so many guys. Mikey Young. I've been training with Mikey Young a decent amount for this camp. He's shorter, smaller guy. He's an incredibly good wrestler. He's really well rounded. He's going to be doing good stuff. Yeah, man. I could keep going on, but there's a couple.
Okay, fair enough. Is James Krause going to fight again? Please tell me yes.
I mean, I'd like him to, and you know, it's possible. He's always down to make money, right? But at this point, I feel like he hasn't had like a for real training camp in a couple of years. Like, I think his last 3 fights have all been pretty short notice. You know, and I mean, he's just we got fighters in the UFC dang near every weekend, and we have a bunch of fighters outside of the UFC, and I mean, we have 3 gyms. He's got a lot on his plate, so I'm not counting it out, but I don't know if it's likely.
Okay. And, you know, we all know how great of a coach he is, but you've been right there for a very, very long time seeing his evolution as a coach. Can you just talk about that a little bit since we've last spoken? I'm sure you're seeing him just elevate his coaching style and just how good he is, you know, each and every year.
Yeah. He's so freaking good. Like, I don't even really know how to say it. Watch me fight. You know, watch this fight that's about to happen, and see the improvements that's happened in my career. Yeah, this man has completely transformed my game. Helped me out when I came to the gym. I was, you know, on a couple fight skid, had no confidence, didn't really know where I was going, and here I am in the UFC. I have, you know, the biggest fire that's ever been lit inside of me to compete and just keep getting better. And that's all because of him. Like, I know that's not exactly the question that you asked, but, you know, I mean, that's the way I answer it. The improvements in my game are all because of the improvements in his game and his coaching style and all of it, and the leader that he is. That, I think that's the big deal, is he's in there leading, you know. Yeah.
Okay, great answer, man. I love it. Well, let's talk about UFC Fight Night 206, April 16th. Back again at the Apex. Are you happy about that? Or are you kind of wishing that you'd be, you know, at some gigantic arena with a bunch of screaming fans?
Yeah, man, it would be really cool. I cornered Tim Elliott like a month ago or whatever at the T-Mobile Arena, I think. And yeah, I mean, that would be cool, but whatever. I got a job, and I need a paycheck, so whatever. As long as they're paying me, I'm gonna try to knock a fool out and look good for the camera.
Okay, so your opponent, Haley Alateng, he's 14-8-2. He's coming off a draw to Gustavo Lopez and a loss to Casey Kenny. Break down his style for me. What kind of a fight are you expecting? What kind of a game plan do you think he's going to try and implement against you on April the 16th?
Yeah, obviously it's a really tough fight. That fight against Casey Kenny was pretty brutal. He took a lot of punishment and just kept going and kept slinging. He's incredibly tough. He seems to, you know, throw wide loopy punches. Seems to only throw, you know, a couple, maybe 1, 2, 3 at most strikes at a time. Having just fought the Kelleher, if I was going to fight me and I had watched that, I am sure I would try to take me down. My takedown defense wasn't amazing in the fight, but, you know, 3 days notice, what are you going to do? So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to take me down. However, I haven't seen him shoot for a takedown in any of his UFC fights, at least. So I am expecting a tough three round brawl. I'm going to try to keep him out with the jab, violently control range. Like I said before, I have 7.5 inches of reach on him, and that's the game plan, to violently control range. Anytime he steps in, have something rough waiting for him.
Kevin, how active are you trying to stay in 2022? Can we expect to see you back in there as much as possible as long as you're healthy?
Let's go. I turned 35 in July. I'd like to fight again before then. So, yeah.
Awesome, man. It is always great to talk to you. You're easily one of my favorite guys to interview. You always have so much energy, and you're just a good dude. So, again, Kevin Croom, back in action April 16th, UFC Fight Night 206. Garrett, did you have anything for him? Any fight picks or anything? He's a knowledgeable fella. He knows the game. And this is the fight analyst over here, Garrett Kerman. So.
Well, UFC 273 is on top. I know you gave us your pick for Jan and Sterling, but we got to talk about 145, Volkanovski and the Korean Zombie. You need to know who you got in that fight.
Man, like, once again, hard, like, just judging by what Ortega was able to do to the Zombie, and then what Volkanovski did to Ortega. Now, I get it. Styles make fights. Everything's different. Man, I just see it. Anybody having a real problem with Volk. He's a monster. So, yeah, I think and still.
Okay, Holloway, Volkanovski 3. Whenever that happens, how does that shake out?
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's tough. I kind of thought Max won the last one. I don't know, man. I don't know. Both of their fights have been pretty similar, so I don't know. Maybe he has to change things up. I'm not sure. I'm not James Krause. He'd have a really good answer for you.
Awesome, man. Well, Kevin, always great talking to you, buddy. Before we let you go, I want to give you the floor. Tell people where to follow you on social media. And if you have anyone to thank, the floor is yours.
Heck yeah. Kevin Croom _UFC on all social, pretty much. And obviously Glory MMA, my management team, Iridium Sports and Agency, Joe Wooser, Jason House. I appreciate you guys for having me on. And heck yeah, man. Watch me do some work on the 16th. Let's go.
All right. And a big thank you to Kevin Croom. Again, back in action April the 16th. Has dropped down to Bantamweight. Again, he said it's been, 5 years now since we've seen him at 135. But I really think that this weight class is going to be a good thing for him. Obviously, if you can have that height, that reach advantage, it's going to really put you in an advantageous position against a lot of these other 135ers. So excited to see what is next for Kevin Crash Croom. No UFC this weekend, so you get a break from that. The following weekend, obviously, we have UFC 273, which is a monster card. Can't wait for it. A couple topics we want to get to today, Garrett. Let's first talk about Curtis Blaydes and that big win over Chris Daukaus. Very impressive. He wanted to stand and slug it out, which was probably not the smartest game plan, because that's where Daukaus is best at, on the feet with his power. So what does this win mean for Curtis Razor Blaydes?
I thought it was a great win for him because of the fact that he's like, you know what? I'm a mixed martial artist. I'm not a wrestler. He's like, I can fight on the feet. I could beat you on the feet. And he showed that he could do that. He beat him on the feet. He didn't even go for one takedown. And all the commentators were talking about, oh, he didn't attempt to take down the entire fight, this and that. And he's like, man, I'm a fighter. This is what I do. He's like, I can strike too. And he showed that. And that's what the most impressive part is. He's evolving as a fighter. He's not just a wrestler. So, I thought it was arguably one of his better wins because he showed he's not super one-dimensional. As far as where he goes from here, I know he called out Cyril Gahn, and I was kind of surprised he didn't go the Stipe route because he was, Stipe was there. It would have been
in Columbus, Ohio.
Right. I felt like that would have been a good call out because Stipe's there. Could have been, some little back and forth between the two, but he wants his title shot. He wants his interim title shot, and I totally get it. And I feel like he deserves to finally fight for the title because he is one of the best heavyweights on the roster right now. And just we'll see if that's a fight that he will get, and hopefully he does because I think he deserves it at this point right now.
Can he win the belt?
It depends on the matchup at hand. I mean, there's the guys at the top. Obviously he's not going to fight Francis, But Gane presents a very hard fight. I don't think he'll be able to just take him down at will for 25 minutes. If he faces Stipe, that's also a tough fight because Stipe is also a great wrestler. Even if it goes against John Jones, that's also a super tough fight because obviously John Jones is arguably one of the best there is. But I can't say he can't win because he does have the tools. It's just whether or not he can put it all together against, the elite, the best of the best in the division. Hopefully he does because I'm a huge fan of his and I believe in his abilities, and that's why I wasn't surprised at how well he did against Dawkins on the feet. So I think he has a good shot of maybe being the next champ.
Yeah, I like Curtis Blaydes too. You get to that top of the heavyweight division though, and it is a murderer's row of just absolute assassins. So, it's to be interesting to see what happens next. And we're still waiting with bated breath for John Bones Jones to make his heavyweight debut. And who knows what he's going to look like at heavyweight. And he's clearly bulked up. He has the technical skills absolutely through the roof, right? Will the power translate at heavyweight? So that's going to be a real big question. So a lot to look forward to at heavyweight moving forward in the UFC. Another topic I wanted to get to, Garrett, is Deiveson Figueiredo is calling out KaraFrance and just saying, no, Brandon Moreno, we're not going to run it back again. KaraFrance is who I want next. He deserves it. Now, KaraFrance, given Askarov his first L, very impressive win. I got to admit, KaraFrance keeps on surprising me. I don't expect him to go out there and win, but he does. So, you got to tip your hat to the guy. He's clearly extremely talented. But for my money, the 125-pound division right now is two guys. It's Deiveson Figueiredo and it's Brandon Moreno. But how many times can they really fight? This will be fight number 4. What's going to happen if, Figueiredo wins the next one, or if Moreno wins? Are they going to rematch it again? We're going to have a fifth fight? I feel like this almost makes sense on some levels, although a lot of people will be like, Moreno rightfully deserves another shot at it. Yeah, that's probably true, but you got to look at it from a business standpoint. And I really feel like waiting before Figueiredo and Moreno fight again would make the most sense from a business standpoint. Do you agree or disagree?
No, I completely agree with you. I think new blood will definitely, favor the business model because, 4 fights, not everybody's inclined. I think it's a great fight, but it's okay, what you're going to get between the two. It's gonna be a great fight. It's gonna be back and forth. It's gonna be 25 minutes of just an all-out, good fight. But you want somebody new in there, some new breed. And KaraFrance has a pretty big following. Everybody follows him out in New Zealand and Australia, so you're gonna get those fans involved. I think it just gives another dynamic. And then if Figueiredo wins again, you can make that Moreno fight there. And I feel like that will make the fight a little bit bigger than just throwing 3 straight or 4 straight fights between 4 straight fights between these two.
Yeah, the next fight is going to happen eventually, but there's no need to rush it. It might make more sense to see how they evolve and set it up a year from now. And I get it. Moreno wants that belt back, but a lot of people still feel like he's the uncrowned champ. He could have won that last fight. It was super, super close. But either way, we're gonna see. We're gonna see another high level fight at 125. But the Moreno Figueiredo quadruple fight will happen at some point down the line. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, me either. I think it's gonna happen eventually. I just wonder, is Moreno gonna sit out and just soak in his time at Glory MMA and wait for that next title shot, or he's gonna have to go in there and fight somebody like maybe a Manel Kopp if he goes in there and demolishes Sumodarji in his next fight. I don't know.
Interesting. Didn't we get some news too about Kelvin Gastelum?
Oh, we did. UFC 273 it's kind of all in shingles, a little things here and there, but ultimately, Nasruddin Imavov couldn't get his visa, and apparently they were looking to rebook the fight for UFC 274 in Phoenix, I believe. But, Kelvin Gastelum, he said on an interview with John Morgan, he was saying that, he didn't want to waste his time that he's been training over at Fight Ready with Henry Cejudo. So he wanted to stay on this card. So he hit up Ali. He's like, we got to get somebody. So they were going through some names of people who were in the top 15, and majority of them were already booked. So he couldn't get anybody there. So they looked on the card, and their last opportunity is Dricus du Plessis. He stepped up, and now he's fighting Kelvin Gastelum. And now Anthony Hernandez, who was his original opponent, will be fighting newcomer Josh Fremd, who I believe is the LFA middleweight champion, who was signed, after his last win. So it's a little change of things here, but I kind of like this Kevin Gastelum and du Plessis fight as well. I think that's going to be an absolute banger. And it's a huge step up for du Plessis, going from who he's fought in his time to now fighting the number 9 ranked, or somewhere in the top 10 ranked, in the division. That's pretty massive step up. And then he's also going from a striker with good chokes to a really good high level wrestler with insane power. And that's also a southpaw. So there's a lot of different dynamics to take into consideration on just a week's notice. And he's a slight underdog. So I feel like we're getting a ton of value on Kelvin Gastelum in this fight.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting to see what happens there. I can tell you too, you mentioned Josh Fremd. That's a Factory X guy. He's legit. He is legit. So
he's huge. He's 6'4" in middleweight. He's massive.
He's a monster, and he's been waiting for his shot in the UFC for a while now. So he's going to come out dialed in and ready to fight. So I can't wait to see Josh Fremd step inside of the cage next Saturday. So UFC 273 shaping up to be a nice card, my friend.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be a banger. I'm looking forward to it. Khamzat Chimaev and Gilbert Burns, that's going to be crazy. The rematch of Piotr Yan and Aljamain Sterling, and then Volkanovski and the Korean Zombie. Those 3 fights are bangers. Plus everything else obviously is stacked top to bottom, but those 3 fights alone, I'm ready for it.
Cannot wait. But another great show in the books. Thank you again to Kevin Croom out of Glory MMA, UFC, now Bantamweight, who will be fighting back in action again April the 16th. But yeah, another great show. We'll have another one for you next week. So until then, for Garrett Kerman, I am Ryan Jarrell. We will see you then.